what I want to comment on was that around this time last year, when our program was starting, I already considered myself to have a rich eco spirituality that I would call like kind of post-Reformation Christian. I already had a sense of being a part of something greater, but I didn't have all of the scaffolding to support that the Deeptime program provided. The weaving that from the cosmology to the matrix, to the subjective work and then the action, just going through that process while doing it, it wasn't so obvious to me what I now see being on the other side of it. And as someone who in my career life has directed internships, I know what it's like to come out the other side of a 9-month or a year-long experience. I just wasn't thinking about this in that way. And what happened to me this year in June and then in July and now in August is when I've been in these places that I deeply love, that I feel deeply connected to Earth as a spiritual home and guide and teacher. I just was often just on the verge of tears much of the time in my travels because of what was evoked in me. And I kept saying, what is this? What is going on? What is this about? And since I've come to believe that there was this Thomas Berry talks about a spiritual alchemy that happens. And I think that there has been, for me, a spiritual alchemy of this immersion in the deep time learning process that actually has done some rescaffolding of how my inner spirituality supports how I am in the world, and then lets me receive in another way that it's very hard to give words to, and I'm actually rather proud of myself that I'm not crying as I'm talking to you, because I've had some trouble getting through even trying to talk about this without just being a little bit overwhelmed. And it's nuanced. It's not that it's dramatically different, it's just different. And it's more grounded. And I'm remembering Thomas Berry has this wonderful word, inscendent, in contrast to transcendent. Like there is a transcendence of being connected in the all that there is, but there's that inscendent quality is when it's that deepening of that connection to all that is. I think that that's another thing that has been nurtured. So I'm just feeling quite profoundly grateful for this time. And I didn't really come in thinking about well-being as an emergent process for me, but it definitely has been so rich. And I'm sure it's motivating. So I'm just going to say very quickly, some of what I've been doing has been in the action spectrum this summer. There's a huge, and not so much related to my allurement, although I did feel allured in. There's a very large climate march in New York City, Sunday after next, September 19th, the March to End Fossil Fuels. And I became involved 3 months ago with the organizing for the march and for Connecticut, and specifically to bring people of faith from Connecticut into the march. And with the summer that we've had of a lot of climate emergency, people are very motivated to speak to this now, and faith leaders of all different kinds are actively speaking and taking action. And the big march is going to be peaceful, but there's also going to be some direct actions and some civil disobedience that will be drawing attention to some of the issues. And I feel in a very heartfelt way committed to that. And then just I have an invitation for February or March to from a foundation in Stanford to bring my learning of the deep time cosmology and how to do it experientially. People who've listened to me talk my way through the time in the program would like me to do a 3-session workshop as an introduction to deep time cosmology. And I'm particularly interested in the different ways that we can create experience. As you know, I worked on this with the idea of teaching elders. This would be it would be intergenerational, but to offer 3 different kinds of experiential access into deep time learning that would be opportunities to really meet people where they are, but allow them to make a next step in their own emergence into this new understanding. But really, I just wanted to tell you that I just feel, I don't want to call it going to church because I don't use that word anymore, but it's sort of church-like for me to think about my deep time experience. So putting that in a little bit of air quotes. So